Hello and welcome to a live edition of Goon and Ramble podcast. I'm your host Giles, and join me 24 hours after a debilitating 2-1 loss at main road, but at the Etihad Stadium are Akhil.
I wish it was main road, we might have won.
And Clive.
Hey mate.
You're right guys. The fallout 24 hours after the game has been everything from Benga's lost it, the players don't care, tactics are wrong, we didn't react, and so on and so forth. I want to ask you all, I'll start with you, Akhil, you were there. The first half was good, despite the fact we sat beat, it didn't really trouble us. First half was good, second half.
You know what, being there live, I actually thought the first half wasn't great either. It was only till I watched the game again, I listened to what people who I respect and others said when they kind of said, I'm not saying it because he's older than me, by the way, he is, but and when people said actually Arsenal controlled it in the first half, and when I watched it again I realised actually we didn't do a bad job. Yeah, we got our goal. We didn't have much of the ball though at all in that sort of game, but it kind of, I realised that actually they didn't get into the pockets. They were in front of our midfield, and when they did, they were wide. And actually, apart from that Sterling chance, it was a Toure header from a corner, but from open play, there wasn't much actually. So it was kind of like, it felt in the stands, the frustration from literally 20 minutes in, because every time we had that ball, we were launching it, and Petr Cech was on our side in the first half. So the amount of times he launched it, because there was no other option, maybe.
I think also that might have been a ploy.
It might have been, but who was he launching it to? I mean, his kicking was awful, by the way. But who was he launching it to? It was just the ball just kept coming back. And fine, in the first half it was coming back, but maybe it wasn't affecting us, wasn't hurting us. I can accept that. But generally, it kept coming back. And then in the second half, it was just. I don't know what that was. Then they were suddenly getting into those pockets, and they were a lot more dangerous. When you got David Silva, Kevin De Bruyne getting into those sort of pockets, that's when it was just frustrating, man. It was just this with Arsenal. I always think there's kind of two things. One is we usually keep the ball really well, so that's one component. And if we're keeping the ball well, we're playing all right. It's our normal game. But there's certain games, like big games, where we don't keep the ball, but we counter-attack well. And there wasn't either in this. We weren't counter-attacking well. That Walcott goal, great counter-attack. But generally, there was that no moment where we were kind of, the transition from defence to attack after winning the ball. It wasn't happening because we got to midfield and lost it, and it came back to us. And you could see Sanchez getting frustrated because and we were getting frustrated because it was just like, come on, Arsenal, just keep that bloody football for a little while. 3 or 4 passes, and then when
you got the feeling that we needed the second goal.
Oh, absolutely, and that's something I said. Let's try and get the second goal before half time, or at least get to half time 1-0. And then again, with me and my sort of mate sitting next to me, it was like, okay, well, let's navigate the first 10 minutes of the first half and then get that second. And obviously we couldn't. So it was just, I don't know, there was something about it. It was just flat. It was I don't know, highly frustrating. I don't know what. I mean, it's.
What do you reckon, Clive?
Yeah, I'll tell you, we had control, but I call it passive control. All right, by scoring the goal so early, we have like a default reaction when we score a goal, is that we drop deeper. We scored that goal quite early. We didn't need to drop deep. City were fragile mentally, they're fragile and defensively, and their areas of weakness, we needed to go and engage them and go and get them. By scoring, it actually did not many favours because it made us drop deep. We thought, okay, we'll counter. But really, is this team set up to counter, or is it set up to pass through the thirds? I think it's set up to pass through the thirds, right? And pass through teams. And if we were so deep, what we did is we encouraged them. We gave them encouragement. And okay, we had a little bit of control in the first half, but into the second half, the turning point goal really did knock us. And then all City did is what Everton did. They just ran about a bit. They just speeded up. They switched the wingers around and just pressed us. And our reaction to that was really quite worrying. Against Everton, I actually thought, if you watch that game again, we did okay. We just lost a few key moments and lost the game. But there's no excuse for City. We literally showed a lack of belief. I'm seriously starting to question. If you start to look at the recent results in Manchester and the recent results against the top 6, top 4, we don't win many away.
We haven't.
We just don't do it.
Sort of stuff,
Right, so we love our team, right? So every time we have a pod or talk or chat, we think it's going to be, we might win 2-1, come on, just think about this, right? We don't win these games.
Same going to games. We're always, even though we know we don't win them, we still think
win them.
We can be a bit
don't win them. And so I've been talking for a while about a slight change in how we play in big games. Adding an extra midfielder to add a level of pragmatism to us. And if you see what happened in the second half, we were outgunned in midfield. We have a couple of luxury players that are not working hard enough at the moment, not forcing teams back. And when they're not doing that, particularly one, he shouldn't be on the pitch. It's as simple as that.
It's the elephant in the room kind of question, isn't it? And we all know who you're talking about.
Yeah, we just got to decide, right? If you're going to play him and he's going to be your third midfielder like that, then he needs to be. We want more out of him. If we're going to go away to Man City and they're going to play basically 4-6, have 6 midfielders in a team, no centre forward, does that make you think for a second, actually, we might need to match it up a little bit? We've got Coquelin ran himself till he nearly broke, literally nearly broke. First time I've seen him depower like that. Xhaka looked tired in the end. He's doing so much work. I think sometimes, Theo's a threat. I feel sometimes with Iwobi, I think he hasn't got the experience to impact these games in that dogged way, to read the game, feel the game and say, actually, the team needs me to dig in and help them. He's a flowing player that goes forward, wants to break, wants to combine. But I felt we need another midfielder in this team to just solidify us a little bit.
You say we're a team that passes through the thirds. And you've just mentioned pragmatism. Do you think there were times where we could have been just a bit more pragmatic and got the ball up the field quicker? Well, because a lot of the times, especially in the second half, we were caught just outside our area. Fernando and Yaya Toure are getting in amongst us, and winning the first and the second balls at the breakdown. Yeah. And those were leading to real chances that were really stressing our goal.
I don't think we look at our team enough at half-time. Our manager does not look. So if you're in the dressing room right now, you've got a message that they're bringing on Sangner, they're bringing him on, and as soon as you're there, you're watching, okay, they brought another fullback, okay, let's switch wingers. They're going to. The first they did after the second half, they went Diag straight out to Sterling, right? Didn't they? Yeah. That tells you what they decided to do. That tells you, as a coach, we're going to now focus on Monreal side. Right? We've noticed that Iwobi's not quite there. We're going to go bang, Diag, bang.
And history tells you that this season we've been considered
So the first thing, if I'm a coach now, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking, okay, they're starting to put pressure on us. Okay, they've scored. What am I going to do? They're going to try to overload down the wide areas. You know what? It sounds crazy, but I'm looking at Mesut Ozil. Is he doing it? Is he feeling it? I played him a lot. Maybe I should take him out. He's our worst defender at the moment. What do I want to get for this game? Do I want to draw? Or do I want to win? Okay. Maybe someone like, I know it's how you might think, I didn't think of this all, but Kieran Gibbs on that side would have been absolutely perfect.
I actually said that yesterday.
Absolutely perfect.
Even when Chamberlain went off, I thought,
Kieran Gibbs, absolutely perfect. He's got legs, he can break, he can dig in, he's good on the ball. And sometimes you might think, people say, why don't you play Perez? And I like him too, but you go to these grounds, you say, I've got to do something different. So what do you want? You've hit a point about going longer. If we are going to go, the next substitution should then be a Giroud type player, because then you've got the ability to find him. But decide what you want to do, and then make a substitution, and then commit to it. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. So we allowed ourselves to be tactically outthought a little bit there.
Yeah. I mean, talking about substitutions, actually, not only in the Man City game, but the Everton game as well. The substitutions weren't quite right. They didn't gel. They didn't make us more fluid. Didn't help us, to react to situations.
I mean, talking about just yesterday, the City game, I didn't quite get them. If I'm honest, I thought. I got the Giroud thing. I mean, I'm not. I don't look as deeply into games as Clive does, just because mental capability doesn't allow me to. But what I could see was Petr Cech had attempted 17 long balls, which weren't sticking.
Did he have the most touches?
He had the most attempted passing, I think. Yeah.
Our highest pass combination, I think, was Gabriel to Cech.
Yeah. And then Cech launching it, it going nowhere. So it was, for me, you saw that happening. So bring Giroud on earlier, because you've got someone who can actually, those balls, he can potentially hold them up. He can actually stick
just change the game plan and just say, okay, they're pushing this back. So what are we going to do?
Need an outlet.
What are we going to do? Okay, we're not really playing for the thirds. That's okay. That's today. We're not playing for the thirds. They're pushing us back. They're now accelerating like Everton did. I know what, Wenger. I know my team is a little bit fatigued. There is no shame in saying, let's go there, let's play second ball, and let's play from there. Do something. Don't keep doing exactly the same thing.
But then even after that,
expecting the results to be different.
I get why Chamberlain came on, obviously. But then when he went off, he was replaced by Elneny, which I thought...
See, you know what? I looked at this, lads, and if you notice, and you know this because you watch every week, he sends out his subs at half-time. Those were the 3 subs that were warming up. You had Elneny, you had Giroud, and you had Chamberlain. So they were the 3 designated substitutes.
I went for a beer at half-time.
Those were 3 designated substitutes. And basically, when Chamberlain went off, Elneny was warm, ready, and they just put him on. They just put him on.
That's really bad.
Right? And I think that's quite average, really. That's quite small.
It's not a game you're trying to defend. You're trying to win a game.
I just thought he was ready. He was warm. Well, I'm just going to put him on. He hasn't thought this through.
What does that say for someone like Lucas Perez, who, with respect, even Lucas Podolski was thrown on when we needed a goal because it was the Lucas Podolski role in the last 5 minutes sort of thing. Perez wasn't, and then I just thought you were just taking Coquelin off. Yeah. So you're obviously chasing the game, which is good, but then bringing Elneny on, he was a decent player, you know what I mean? But you're chasing the game, so you've suddenly taken a defensive midfielder off through injury, but then Elneny's come on, so I didn't get it. I didn't get it.
What else I didn't understand?
That's what Kieran Gibbs, I thought, even he could have done.
Do you get the impression that Wenger trusts certain people in his squad more than others? I mean, we talked on the pod the other day after the Everton defeat that, the team that he started with that game and started with in this game, you would have probably brought in other players for the Everton game. Do you get the impression that he trusts some players too much and other players not enough, and that leads to the fatigue? I mean, you can't expect 2 hard-fought games in such a short space of time away from home. He's essentially playing the same 11.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we missed a trick at Everton. We should have rotated quite heavily there. Because what we did, we all saw the team that come out of Basel. We saw that team. We all felt a little bit surprised.
Yeah.
We thought, okay, he's going for it. That tells you a little bit about how Wenger views Europe. I think he views it as a real priority for the club. Right? There's a lot of funds to be had to feed top of the group. That game was worth millions to us, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But we're paying a price for that game right now. Because we had 2 games in the Northwest that week. We all knew the week. We all targeted those games in our own minds.
We talked about that for a while,
and I felt you had to rotate one of them. You was never going to rotate for City away. We were unfortunate our Everton was on a Tuesday, everyone else played on a Wednesday, which was hard after Stoke and Basel. So he's got to do something. And I was actually feeling that our squad is deep, and also our squad was quite active. Future European games, they'd all played games. Yeah. So when they were to come in, I thought they were ready. Yeah. But now I don't feel they are so ready because they've now been stale for a couple of weeks.
Well, you look at it, Czech, Ozil, Alexis, is it Koscielny? Played more games than
makes sense. Well, Czechs obviously had the rest of the
team. And they look tired. They look tired.
I
mean, Koscielny, he did well yesterday, but you could, even in the first minute, he makes a sloppy clearance. We get away with it. And if you watch him, he takes an A to get off the floor. That's a tired footballer. That's a tired footballer. He plays every minute of every game. And I just think we've got to do something to give these guys a break.
What I see, what your original question about that trust is, once a player gets in there, it does seem like Arsene Wenger isn't going to drop them unless something really happens. Injury or something, they have a dip. So, when Iwobi was in, he got in, started at Barcelona last year, played at Everton, scored, stayed in the team pretty much till sort of a month ago or something. When things started to go, so in that rotation, what you're saying, Champions League, we rotated well. That PSG thing happened. I think that was the incident that got him sort of, it got him a breather. It got him maybe put to the bench. And then Chamberlain's come in, done quite well. So then suddenly he was getting the run. But obviously Everton happened, and maybe he felt that Walcott, and I kind of agree, Walcott and Chamberlain, I'm not sure, sometimes away from home if that works. But that's, for me it would have been interesting if someone like Aaron Ramsey was fit yesterday, because would he have actually got a game? Because I think he does want to take Xhaka out of the firing line. I think there was a reason why he didn't throw him in at the start. He was saying is a new player. He's still settling in. He will get his time, but people were very impatient. Saying, "Why aren't you paying him? Why aren't you paying him?"
You said, Clive, recently that you think it's something to do with conditioning or fitness.
Well, Shaka, I just feel that the reason why he didn't start the season was I felt he had to up his intensity, and I think they had to work on that. I think there was a tackle in the last minute against Everton, in the very last minute in the box, where he's run 60 yards to tackle back. That tells me he's now at the levels.
Yeah.
I haven't got a problem with him, but he's now part of the collective malaise around our fatigue issues. And we seem to suffer from that more than any other club. I know we watch it closely, but it's not the first time we've spoken about this. I just think the manager knows this group of players by now, and I felt he missed a trick. If you're going to focus on Basel, there was going to be a price to pay. You had to decide between Everton and City what you were going to do. I think that I call it the scoreboard pressure of what Chelsea have done.
Yeah, maybe.
Forced him maybe into a team selection he didn't really want to do to get a win. And then when we came to yesterday, nothing happened here apart from we ran out of legs. That's all that happened.
It was a little bit about there's 8 more days for the next game. Get through City, and we've got that.
Okay, do you think there is a problem then within how we condition our players? Because I mean, it's the same for everyone, pretty much. I mean, any team
not playing in Europe, but
the teams in Europe, it's the same pressures.
Yeah.
Man City played on Wednesday. They played Sunday.
Well, you guys tell me, right? I didn't go to Stoke. I think you went to Stoke, didn't you? Right? I didn't go to Stoke.
Yeah.
We looked quite fresh against Stoke, didn't we?
Yeah.
You know, it could be just we've had a lot of hard away games, and it's hard. You need that freshness, incision. I think we lack. When I look at them, I see a lack of power. I see a lack of devastation. I see a lack of duel winning for sustained periods. When I look at them, I see a weakness, and I just feel that we're at our limit. And the players feel it, because you look at their average positions, they're now dropping in because they don't feel comfortable, they don't feel powerful, they don't feel they can go length of the pitch. And we look fatigued as a group, and that's telling us about how we're reacting to scoring goals.
It brings me back to my original question of, does he trust some players and not trust others? Because maybe the people that are coming in aren't as...
Well, that's my point about Ramsey. Ramsey was fit. We know we trust Ramsey. Would Ramsey have played yesterday?
The people have said that they would have started Giroud in certain games. I think start Giroud. I mean, I like fast Arsenal. I prefer Alexis up front. But
that's why he's trusted for 5 years.
If I'm going to take an objective view, there are times when you think...
Potentially the Everton.
The Everton game. Just the Everton game. Just play him. He's a French international. Sit Alexis or sit Ozil on the bench. Let them watch the game and play him. I mean, right? Because you'll get the benefit of that player the next time you play it. It is crucial. It is absolutely crucial. Don't ignore it. Don't ignore the fact of how you feel physically. The amount of money they spend on sports science, physical conditioning is huge. It is a differentiator, and we've got to. And to be fair to Wenger, he's managed his squad really well. Up until I felt when that Basel team sheet came out, we all questioned it slightly, but we enjoyed the day.
Yeah, of course.
We enjoyed it. We finished top of the group, right? And so we all enjoyed it. But that price is being paid now. I'm sure of it, and it cost us. I think it cost us points.
For me, what's changed in about a month is when you went to Old Trafford, didn't play well, but the fact that you had a relatively fresh Chamberlain, Giroud to bring on. And when I say fresh in terms of, but also kind of informed, because they've had minutes under their belt, so they're still match fit, so to speak. Whereas now I looked at yesterday and thought, the players coming on, are they really going to impact the game? I just didn't quite believe it, and I think
they're a bit inactive now,
that's
aren't they?
That's the problem, and I think you're right. I mean, one thing I always think about is I always like to, it's something obviously clearly Arsenal don't know, but you look at certain players and look at their record against teams, because you think surely that must play a part. Giroud scored home and away against City last year. Scored home and away. And he scored against Everton as well. He scored 2 at Everton, 2 at home against Everton. And I think he scored in the away game as well, wasn't it? Was that 2-2? Was that season before? No, we won 2-0 actually the season before. But he's got goals against both teams.
Here's a question. I want to bring it back to the players. I mean, for whatever reason, certain players are lacking, coming up short, whether it's application, effort, attitude, whatever you want to call it. There's certain players that are, leaving a lot to be desired. So I want to ask you guys, which particular players have you felt have come up short and you've been kind of disappointed and wanted more from?
I've got to say, yesterday I was disappointed with probably all of them, bar 2 or 3. This week, Alexis, Koscielny come out with a bit of credit. Does anyone else really come out? I mean, Bellerin's come back from injury, so he probably gets a free ride. But really, is there anyone else that you can say is really... I know Walcott got a goal, but Does anyone really come out of credit? I thought this was, I don't really get why Kieran Gibbs hasn't got a game this week, because it's obvious that there's a drop there. I know Mustafi's got injured, so that's affected us as well, but if you're being really critical, Petr Cech near post, should he get beaten there? I don't know. I need to see it again. And then, it went through legs and all that sort of stuff. But I just think, one thing about sort of players, and I talk about sort of Theo Walcott, is, I've defended the guy for 10 years, and then, we've had loads of discussions on him. And this season, actually, he's doing quite well. Obviously, he scored 11 goals. But actually, I've been disappointed with him last week, because I actually think that maybe it's just being a fan, seeing it sort of the visual stuff, but for the first sort of couple of months of the season, I was seeing him chase every single ball down. I thought he was everywhere. He was not stopping. He was coming back. He was tracking back. He still is, but he was doing so much more. He was physical then. Maybe he's tired. Maybe he's jaded. I don't know, but I just thought he's a little bit.
Passive like the rest of them.
Well, when he doesn't see the ball at all, he didn't get a lot of touches.
We had that Baines cross.
We
had that Baines cross when he just sprinted because he was a little bit maybe behind. He sprinted, which I think a month ago he would have had the intelligence to think, no, I'm not going to absolutely sprint. I'm going to slow down a little bit and hold him up. And that happened again yesterday, but it didn't lead to a goal. But see, for me, that is just, but he's still doing his job. And I just think without him, where would we be without his 11 goals? But
he's not the only one, right? So
no, he's not the only one.
The effectiveness of our wide men is debatable, right? Both sides, in offensive areas, they're not doing it from an overall contribution factor. If we're going to have a luxury Ozil and almost having two false nines, we need more from these two on the wide areas, right? So, and Walcott did exactly what I was talking to you about, Giles, the other day, about joining the attack late on the goal. That's exactly what he was. That timing of that run allowed Alexis to see him, to find him, to connect with him, goal. That intelligence of movement needs to be more consistent. He needs to feel the game different. And the same for Chamberlain, the same for Iwobi. I don't think they're feeling the game. I don't think they're feeling what's required from us. Right? And what these last two results have shown me, I'm sure you're going to agree with me, is that we've got some deep scars as Arsenal fans. Some deep scars. And they're not gone. We're hoping this team is different. And now we've had our scars reopened, 2 in a week. And this suddenly feels very similar to Swansea, Man United, Old Trafford, Swansea at home. Remember that week? The week from hell. And suddenly all the old scars are open. The fan reaction is vitriolic, right? And this is becoming our Arsenal identity now. And it's a real shame because I want to believe this team is different. I want to believe
we all do.
This club is growing and going forward. And there are some people that think we're not. And when I talk to those people, I'm thinking, actually, I don't want them to be right. But right now, this week, the day after Man City, I'm not going to argue with them. And it's up to the team to prove to people like me who are more on the positive side that actually we are going to react next week. We are going to react in the next 5 or 6 games, which are very winnable. And we need to start now and to make sure we can't have any more draws. We've really got to turn this around because I see some real deep scars amongst our fan base still from the last couple of seasons.
Well, even last couple of seasons, you remember you did 6-0 against Chelsea and then was it 5-0 against Liverpool?
We haven't recovered.
We were scared against me. So it's a repeated cycle. It's a repeated. It just happened earlier this season than it has in previous seasons. But
as a equally quite positive and stuff, it's always, I think probably if this season was 2 years ago, I would have probably looked at two things there. I would have looked at Chelsea winning 11 in a row, which 14's a record, so that's how well Chelsea are doing at the moment. And you think, well, take them out, and actually 3 defeats from the season for the first half isn't actually that bad. But maybe that was 2 years ago. Not anymore. Sort of
manner of these.
It's the manner of the defeat. And it's the same thing keeps happening, and that's the frustration.
It's the manner of the defeat, and it's looking around at everyone around us. They're suddenly hitting their stride, and we've
that's the
stopped.
frustration.
And why have we stopped? Because we didn't respect the game enough for Goodison to win it. When we had them beat, we had their crowd quiet. There's a period before half time at City. When you were there, it was dead. We'd shut them up. They were gone. They were worried. They were murmuring amongst themselves. It was over. We got to see that moment, go for a kill, get a second goal. We actually played what I call 2-0 up football for the whole of the first half, but it was 1-0. That's 2-0 up football we were playing. Do you see what I mean?
Do you want us to be? Do you expect us to be? Do you expect? Obviously, we expect, but why aren't we so brave as to go out and try and get that second goal?
I
mean, because
is it about bravery or is it just about something up there?
It's a lack of game management.
It is a lack of game management. There's times in that first half, you probably saw it better than I did, but there's times in the first half where it seemed instructional that we were sitting deep, but Alexis was...
we weren't pressing. Alexis was telling Iwobi and Walcott to come with him. Iwobi, the poor guy, was completely confused as to what to do. Walcott was...
And that's not the first time that's happened with Iwobi. He does... He's not... My question also is, we as fans, should we wake up? You know, especially the more, no slight on any positive person. But, you know, should we as fans wake up and really smell the coffee and say, look, this team, this cycle's repeated so often.
The biggest thing
that we can't keep putting on our rose-tinted glasses and say this team's going to do it.
The biggest thing.
Should we be more realistic and say?
The biggest thing for me is someone telling me on the way home yesterday saying that, you know what, it's Arsenal. We'll win our next 5 games. They're all winnable. We'll win them. We'll go to Stamford Bridge and lose. And suddenly, there's 9 points gap. We'll turn it into 4 or 5. We'll lose. We're back to where we started. And actually, we can argue. Usually I would say, no. We can win the 5 and that will give us confidence. We'll go to Chelsea and we'll actually get a result there. But actually, now, do I really believe it? I'm not sure. Because that trust. Do I trust that team?
We're hoping not only that we win the games, but that Chelsea lose. We get closer to them.
But Chelsea will lose. Chelsea will drop points. Chelsea will drop points, but so will Arsenal. Well, yeah, it's hope, but so will Arsenal. But the hope is not actually will Chelsea drop points. The hope for me is will Arsenal continue? We'll go on a winning run now, because that's the bit. You can't control what Chelsea do. We can't control what our own team do, but our team can control what they do. And you just think the hope. Forget Chelsea, take them out. Can Arsenal go and win their next 5 and then go to Stamford Bridge and win? I'm not sure.
Winnable games.
I'm not sure.
I think things change very quickly. I think things change very quickly. When the Bayern Munich draw came out, I was actually quite pleased with that. I'm thinking, we got a chance. I looked at them. They're not evolving as a team. And that's how confident I felt about the group. We beat Stoke with the same points as Chelsea, and we're right there at the top of the league. 2 games later, we're 9 points off, and we're 1 point ahead of Spurs.
Yep.
I mean,
only 4 ahead of Man United, and we were 10 ahead of them.
Exactly.
10 ahead of them on Tuesday.
Only us can do this, right? There isn't a level of. I'll say it again. We need to change how we play in these big games. We need to have a far more pragmatic approach, be more competitive, move to a different system, a different formation with an extra midfielder, and make sure we're in these games and we can compete with them. To be honest, I say that every year, but to be fair, if you look at these games, we've had periods of control. It's what we do in those periods. We're not executing enough to get the goals that we need. But once we are ahead, then we have to change how we play. Not do the same things, not just drop deep and encourage them. We did it twice in a week. So we can comment about this, right? We did it at Everton, we were pushed back, we encouraged them into our box, and they got 2 headers. City are better than Everton. Once they realised we were there for taking, they just ran about and pushed us around, pressed us on the ball. And they don't want to play in their defence. Their defence is weak. What do? We need to recognise their weakness and play in those areas, and we allowed ourselves to be pushed back. It is really concerning at a top level club. Can that happen twice in 5 days? And that's you got to question that.
Is Ozil central to the malaise, this recent malaise? I mean, he's had. I think it was Stoke. He scored a goal. Did he score a goal?
Yeah, it's got a header.
He did really well at Basel. Well as all the others. In these games, people do say he goes missing in big games. I haven't really studied it.
Big games away from home, I think is.
So is there a cause? And I've been thinking about it. Is there a cause to actually leave him out? Call it rest, call it whatever you want to call it. Is there a cause to now leave him out and maybe try and play a different way without him, just to give him a bit of freshening up? Because I think it's nearly every Christmas he kind of.
Well, last
year,
year,
am I right in believing he was on the bench when we went to Man City a couple of years ago?
Yeah,
that 2-0.
He didn't play. Yeah. He didn't play, and I remember this last year. He had a similar 2 week break that Joachim Low gave him.
Yep.
And he had it this year, and it took a while for him to come back from that.
Yeah.
It broke his rhythm last year. He's broke his rhythm this year. My issue with him is, hey, look, everyone has a bad game, right? If Oxlade-Chamberlain has a bad game, he gets hooked, right? If Theo has a bad game, he gets hooked. If he has a bad game, he's allowed to stay on the pitch for the entire game. And I think, okay, he's a special talent, but just treat him the same as everybody else, because right now, I don't think he's justifying staying on in a game away from home, not contributing, where we're trying to bring points back to the club.
Yeah.
I asked you again though, Clive, would you leave him out of the team?
I wouldn't.
Is there cause to leave him out of the team?
I wouldn't leave him potentially.
On the bench, start from the bench.
Next game we have to win. Mm-hmm. There's no way he won't be playing in the next game.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Again, it's a different game. It's at home. It's against
8-day break. But I would just like to see some accountability for a bad performance every now and again. Yeah. And if you're not doing it, we've got players on the bench that all think they should play. And if they're watching this, they're thinking, actually, why is this happening? Why is that to continue? I just that's how I would manage it.
Mixed nuts.
Just on that bit, I mean, yesterday we had options. You could have put Ozil off and put Sanchez number 10.
Exactly.
With Giroud there, and that that Giroud-Griezmann partnership that works.
That gets us up the pitch, right?
And
gets us up the pitch and we play from there.
But and also memories. I mean, our goal last year, the equaliser, the 2-2. How was the goal? All went into Sanchez into Giroud. Giroud laid it off. Sanchez. We just didn't
no
try
problem.
anything.
You get substitute. It doesn't mean the world is over. Yeah. You come off for 25 minutes and we go again.
And remember, Mesut Ozil was the most subbed player at Real Madrid when he was there. Yeah. So,
Mixed Nuts came up with a stat today that said his output in terms of assists is decreased. Obviously, his goal output's increased. And it's happened because he's playing closer to Sanchez and whatnot. But is it because the dip in form, is it injury related, or is it just that
we'll wait and see. I mean,
it's not dip in form, it's 2 games. I mean,
it's 2 games.
If you call that,
he has been patchy.
Yeah,
maybe
he hasn't been consistent.
Yeah, maybe.
Let's see what comes out.
Alexis has been up there, and he's not really met him. They're on the same level, but he's not met him.
I mean, I remember there's a bit in the second half. I don't know if you remember it, but they did a 1-2 down the right hand side, a succession of them, 1-2 down the right hand side. And I'm looking at this football, thinking this is from another planet. This is like they're literally 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. They got into the box and didn't score. They are a very high level, but they're human. If you have a bad game, come off the pitch. And my worry is, if Wenger put him on a pedestal and he won't substitute those 2 guys, right? So he needs to go back to that, to take them off when we need them. We need them fresh. We need them injury free. Take them off.
There was a moment towards the end of the game. Alexis Sanchez was on his haunches. You could,
I've seen on Twitter the pictures.
Put any caption you wanted.
I missed that live.
It just made me think. It made all Arsenal fans think.
Contracts.
Yeah.
And you think about him. You think about Ozil. Henri Thierry said after the game. If you want a contract, you've got to earn it.
Well, Thierry Henry said to pay someone 300 grand, I expect hat tricks when they play, and I expect hat tricks when they don't play, implying you expect the very best. Graham Souness said, you win things, then you ask for that big money. You don't ask for the money and then try and win things. And ultimately, they've won nothing at Arsenal, FA Cups aside. It got me thinking as well, actually, that is Mesut Ozil worth 300,000? I mean, okay, but maybe no footballer.
It's Alexis Sanchez, admittedly.
Well, fine, but no footballer's worth that. But you know what I mean? Like, it's like, will their performance change if they get this big contract?
You see, I love the 2 players, right? But
I want them to stay.
I'm of an opinion that the values we have in the club, the structure we have in the club, that club, players come and go. Players come and go all the time. I don't care how special you are, they come and go all the time. My favourite player is Patrick Vieira ever. And you know what? We survived without him, right? We survived without him. We survived without Thierry. We need to flip the balance back. And yes, they deserve top money. If it goes up to £200,000 a week, we can all sit here and know what's happening with the TV rights.
I'll ask you this question. We've made some good points about the club's always bigger than the player ultimately. But if you let these 2 players go
What does it say?
What does it say? And then how hard is it going to be to actually replace him to get the like for like replacement
Well,
to keep us going? I was going to say on an upward trajectory, or just keep us running on the.
To be fair, one of them said it, and forgive me, I can't remember who it was, Henri or Souness, because this was 2 a.m. when I got back from Manchester. But it was what message are you sending out, and how can you attract the next big player to come to your football club? Because
How would you feel if Ozil, Alexis got £350,000 a week at Arsenal? How would you feel about that?
It wouldn't change anything for me, because ultimately it's something.
Some people will say you shouldn't care. You shouldn't care, Clive. What are you worried about? It's not your money.
I mean, there's that side of me that thinks, hang on, if Alexis gets 250, then suddenly the next bracket of players who are currently on 100 say, oh, well, we want 200. All right, we're not as good as Alexis, we know that, but we're not 200 grand below him. It causes problems on that wage structure, but ultimately,
do you think it's affecting his form?
I think the last 2 games, I can't say that it hasn't. Right, so and that's the truth.
Which one?
And now we're
Alexis or
No.
now we're sitting here now. What we've done, the narrative has changed. We've gone away from being this progressive club that's top of the Champions League group, second, first in the league. Suddenly now it's Alexis, Ozil, 2 away defeats.
And that Bayern Munich draw looks a lot harder.
Bayern Munich looks harder. Arsenal are mentally weak,
Yeah.
and all the people have been saying we're mentally weak, but have not been able to say it for a while. Are back out. They're back in the room. They're back in the room.
Yeah.
Guy never wanted to kill us after Old Trafford. We scored a goal. He had to shut up. He had his moment yesterday, right? He had his moment against City. He's been waiting to say that for weeks because nobody.
Points though, Clive.
Oh, some of those they're valid because history is telling us they're valid. Can't sit here and argue against it, right?
Nah.
I can't, and actually I can't pinpoint at any single individual, and I won't, because Ozil, he was walking about, but let me tell you something, as a collective we allowed this to happen to us yesterday, as a club, as a team, as a coaching staff, we allowed ourselves to sleepwalk into a defeat when we had victory in our hands. Twice in a week. There's no excuses.
I think for me the biggest question there is, we talked about it earlier, do you trust the team? And at the moment, I'm not sure many people say they do, because and once that trust goes,
You see it in
the stands.
Yeah, we see it in the stands, we see it online, we see it everywhere, and we don't. And I think they've got a lot of work to do to
repair that.
And I think the club think they have, but I don't think they realise how damaging last year was to the club. I really don't think they do. And because 2 defeats should not. I know modern day is different, but these 2 defeats, they feel so terminal, right? And have I changed how I react? Probably a little bit, but I'm one of the calmer ones, right? So people out there are very upset about this, which tells me they're carrying some baggage, and we still got work to do to fix that relationship between the club and the fans.
Well, I want to bring it to a close. I want to thank both Clive and Akhil and obviously the Tollington Pub for housing us, for accommodating us this evening. If you like the podcast, please leave a comment and a like, and make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel Gooner Ramble, also the website www.goonerramble.com. Find us on Twitter at Gooner Ramble. I've been your host Giles. Thanks for watching and listening.
up the Arsenal.